Alright, so I wanted to make this video because of there's a lot of stigma and a lot of rumor stories, and quite frankly a lot of very frightening stories about going to quote unquote the loony bin. And I want to kind of clear up the record a little bit, I guess. When people think of a loony bin, so to speak, when people think of a mental hospital, they think of electroshock therapy, they think of bathtubs filled with ice, they think of basically cruel and unusual punishment, and straitjackets and stuff like that. And I wanted to just kind of tell you a little bit about my own experiences. A lot of that stuff is stuff of the past. You won't find nowadays, you won't find electroshock therapy or leaving people in bathtubs filled with ice and crap like that nowadays. I mean, it's a horrifying image for anybody. And it's a horrible, horrible thing for somebody to imagine themselves getting into when they first think of a mental hospital. That's kind of the first image that comes into mind. These narrow, scary little hallways full of raving lunatics that, are completely and totally, insane, raving mad, And the truth is that the truth is actually very far from that. Usually, I'm gonna outline for you basically what a basic visit to a mental hospital for me has been like. Typically, you go in either under 911 ambulance, claiming suicidal, self-harmful, one of the two criteria, one or both of the criteria. And you usually either that, or you go in, you get a ride in, or you somehow get to the emergency room and proceed to tell them, look, I'm feeling suicidal, I'm feeling self-harmful, I can't contract for safety. And those criteria are enough to lend you into being in a mental institution. Now, when I say mental institution, I don't want you to get the wrong image. Again, there's that stigma of, oh my God, institutionalized, but it's really not like that. Usually you get processed first medically. So you usually get seen for if you have any open cuts or sores, anything that might need stitches. You get that done first. That goes through the ER department. And then you usually go through a processing area or a processing phase where they decide if hospitalization is necessary for you, to actually be hospitalized in a mental hospital. At that point, you talk to well, like I said, first you talk to the MD, and the MD then clears you. You know, if you don't need stitches or some kind of major surgery, or you know they don't see something that's medically, you know, really wrong or really off with you from the offset, they then medically clear you, and then that's when the mental staff takes over, and they send in somebody, a social worker, to come in and talk to you about why you got into this particular crisis episode. And you know, you explain to them, well, blah blah blah, I had an abusive past, I had this recent thing come up, it reminded me of my past, or I mean whatever reason that you're there for. Okay, maybe your meds are off, maybe something triggered you, and you know, maybe you're getting memories of abuse that you weren't previously aware of, things like that. Then after that, that social worker assesses you. They either send you home through the group that is affiliated with you, the mental health group that is affiliated with you. Like there's locally here in Arizona, there's COPE, Kodak, La Frontera, you know, places like that that have social workers, psychiatrists, therapists, and so on that, you know, treat you regularly. And then, of course, you have your hospital crisis team. And if they decide that it is necessary for you to be hospitalized, the next thing that they'll want, that they usually do, as a matter of fact, they usually do this, I find, usually before you get interviewed, is they usually take a urine sample to see if you've been doing any drugs or have been on any alcohol. They also make you do a breathalyzer, which for me has always been really quite humorous, because every time I've done the breathalyzer, I've never had any alcohol in my system, so it's always come out as 0. So it's always been somewhat entertaining for the staff to do my breathalyzer, because it's always come out as 0. But in any case, yeah, they take a urine sample, see what kind of drugs are in your system, and to see, you know, because sometimes people try to OD and aren't honest and upfront about that, so they need to go back and get that checked. Sometimes people are doing street drugs and they're not honest about that. You know, there's a lot of different things that can show up in the urine sample, and they go by that, and then the breathalyzer. And then usually if your breathalyzer comes out that you have alcohol in your system over a particular level, don't quote me, I'm not sure what the level is, but I believe it has to be 1 point or lower in order to be admitted, I think. But your alcohol level is tested, and if you have a particular alcohol level, they keep tabs on that, as well as BP, you know, your blood pressure, your oxygen, and your temperature, just basic vitals. Then what they do usually, after you've gotten the urine sample and done the breathalyzer, they usually give you a set of scrubs, which I find to be very extremely comfortable under the circumstances. It's not as comfortable as wearing clothes from home, but it is very comfortable wearing scrubs. And they give you socks, hospital wear socks with special skid-proof bottoms. on them, and you change into that, and then you wait at your bed, and then usually by that time, that's about usually when the MD, when the medical doctor actually comes to check you out, is usually by the time that, in the process of things, that's usually when that happens. Not always, sometimes it happens differently. Then, if they decide, after you've talked to the social worker, done the breathalyzer, urine test, they do usually, if they have somebody on staff who is of the same gender that you are, they do what's called a skin test, and that's basically they watch you undress and get dressed again in the scrubs. And basically that's so that they can see and attest to the fact that no, you don't have any gaping wounds anywhere that you have not confessed to or admitted to. No, you don't have like any hidden razors on your body or safety pins or anything like that. They just do a real basic, and it's not very invasive or anything like that. You change into your scrubs real quick, and like I said, you see the MD. The MD clears you. Then you usually lay around for, a couple hours, several hours, until they finally get a bed open. This is if they decide that the hospitalization is necessary for you. And they... actually, I just noticed my time on this is like 11 minutes and something. So I'm going to break, and I'm going to come back with part 2.